Welcome to the Women in Investing podcast, Champions with Chequebook. I'm Sapna, representing the Women in Investing Network. Today, we have Ratna Mehta, a veteran investor, CEO, and managing partner at Fundalogical Ventures. She has wealth of experience across all stages of investing, early growth to buyout. I'm really excited to chat with her today. Welcome, Ratna, to the podcast.
Thank you, Sapna. Thank you for having me here. I'm super excited to talk to you today. And thank you for the very kind introduction.
Thank you. Let us start with your investment journey. I'm really keen to hear how did you become an investor and at what point did you decide that you could do fundological ventures?
I actually started my career with Anderson way back over decades back. And spent a couple of years over there. It was a fantastic learning ground, the best place you want to kind of start your career with. Post that, I joined JP Morgan Chase, and that was my interest with doing deals. Post JP Morgan Chase was when the journey of investing started, early in 2000s when private equity was just starting off in India. So I joined Everstone Capital when they just started in India. Stayed with them for over a decade, doing from early growth investing to then doing buyouts, then creating platforms over there. So interesting journey. And now fast forwarding to Fundalogical Ventures. So you said, when did I decide to do Fundalogical Ventures? Actually, to be very honest, you just have to start. Yeah. If you keep thinking, it becomes very difficult. Just to give you an example, like, you can never decide when is the right time for you to have a child, right? But when you take the plunge and when the child comes, you know how to manage them, right? So it's about starting. But one important thing is when you are starting something new, you have to create a support system around it. Who is going to be your anchor, your sponsor? What is going to be your strategy? How are you differentiating yourselves? I think those things, those building blocks are in place, then things become easier.
That's well said, and that's gonna inspire many more women senior leaders who are sitting in the fence and they're thinking about taking that plunge. It's encouraging to see many new homegrown investment funds emerging in India. Can you tell us more about what makes fundological ventures unique and what are the gaps in the market that you're addressing?
So when we were thinking of a strategy, is that how do we create an investment platform which is really going to be differentiated and at the end of the day create value for our all stakeholders? I think India today is a barbell when it comes to the investment landscape. There are lots of early stage investors, and then there are these large ticket players, India as well as global, who put in 50 million, 100 million check. So when we are thinking, what do we do? I think we two things where we could see ourselves creating a difference was one, we're only fund in the country who is playing early growth, which is a cusp of VC and PE, with a focus on supply chain and peripheral consumption. So we said supply chains is a sector which is going to be sunrise for the next 5-10 years. And we want to play it from a position of strength and domain expertise. So we want to know where we understand it really well. So that was the stage in the sector was one where we tried to create a differentiation. But that differentiation is not only for the sake of creating a differentiation or the sake of saying that this is a sunrise sector we play. The second reason why we did this, and which is literally the ace in the pack, is the platform. So the platform is a combination of industry veterans who build businesses in this space for 4-5 decades and people who are doing investing. So the investment guys have done deals, been there, managed portfolios, done exit. But when you do that, along with people who have the access, the network within the space and the domain expertise of like literally building businesses ground up, then the value that you can create on the platform is very different.
Would you want to share what kind of industry veterans you've partnered with?
So some of our sponsors are like Krishna Kota from the JM Bakshi Group. So the JM Bakshi Group is one of the largest port operators in the country, along with a lot of other peripheral logistic services. We have the Sharjani, who was the original founder of Blue Dart, who built Blue Dart in the early 80s. And we have Sai Shipping, we have the Parik Marine Group, we have the Fat Cargo Group. These are some of the guys between them, within the space. They have a very deep network and understanding of most of the subsegments.
You also mentioned alongside supply, you also look at peripheral consumption. Can you explain peripheral consumption? What kind of businesses would you be investing in?
So when I say consumption, right, India is a consumption economy, correct? Whether it's food, whether it's apparel, fashion, or whether it's some of the other sectors like packaging, B2B manufacturing, I think there is a lot of bullishness among these sectors. However, consumption in a sense is very, very closely related to supply chain. Because if you see how the go-to market for most of these sectors has changed over time. So just to give you a small example, the dress that you're wearing, right? Earlier, say 10 years back, you would have to go to a shop and buy it. Today, you can buy the same one on Myntra, Amazon, the company's own website, in a modern retail store. So the management of the go-to market has become a very important thing when it comes to the growth of a brand, growth of any service provider. And I think that marriage between the two is what makes us say that supply chain and consumption are very closely knit to each other.
Makes sense. Having navigated multiple economic cycles over the span of 20 plus years of career that you've had, what are some of the learnings you've gained as an investor?
I'll start with one quote which I live by, right? Ideation without execution is hallucination. Whichever cycle you are in, whether you're on an up cycle or whether things are going down, execution is the key. Because there are a lot of ideas, but in a country like India, where the support ecosystem is not very strong, which is getting strong now, definitely, execution is the key. The other big learning is you have to stay away from FOMO deals and herd mentality. There was a time when everybody wants to do fintech deals, valuations get very, very expensive at that point in time. EdTech went through that cycle at some point in time. SaaS recently went through that cycle. So the best part is that whatever fundamentally you look in a business in terms of A, the promoter, B, the unit economics, and C, the levers of growth. You have to see it from a sense that in the next 2 years, in the next 5 years, how are you going to see that pan out? But honestly, if everybody is running after it and the valuations get bid out, as an investor, one thing that I've learned is you will be happier sitting out of it.
To stay course, have strong conviction, and don't get swayed by what markets are
Yeah.
doing.
And especially on the growth side, no, Sapna, you don't have to do 10 deals a year. You have to do 3 deals, you have to do 2 deals, you have to do 4 deals, right? In that, you have to learn to pick the right deal rather than saying, I don't want to miss that.
No, that makes sense. Switching gears a bit, for our founders and operators, what are some of the gaps you think in supply chain in India? For a lot of operators, potential founders who are thinking about building in this space, what would be some of the ideas that you want to give them?
So, supply chain has traditionally been a very, very fragmented industry. Multiple players, every service is being done by different people across the value chain. The trend that we are seeing is one, integration of services, B, digitization, and C, customers wanting one person to provide them all the services, right? So, any player who comes up with an idea which says that I will organize this unorganized space, saying that I want to be the point of contact for the customer, I will make sure that he gets everything. I can provide some of it, I can outsource some of it. And if I use technology to kind of enhance the experience of the customer, improve operational efficiencies, which also helps him reduce cost and me to provide a better service, I think that's the winning model.
Sure.
Right? So, net, organization, digitization, and integration.
You also mentioned earlier to me that you recently made an investment. Do you want to talk about that? What was that space? What did you like about it? What was the gap in the market they're trying to?
Yeah, actually, a very interesting example of what you asked would be that, right? That where is the gap in the market? So we recently invested in a cold chain solutions provider. Now, cold chain is not something like AI that it has recently come into the market. It's been there for ages. But India has 10,000 warehouses. Most of them are not managed well. Most of them have excess capacity because they're not owned by organized players. Because this is an asset heavy industry, and for even the larger players, it's very difficult to expand. He is leveraging the excess capacity which is there in some of the warehouses. So he creates a network of warehouse owners. He goes to them, he takes the excess capacity for them, refurbishes it to grade A level, and then he leases it out to grade A customers. So that's how he's disrupting this whole industry. So very fragmented, unorganized, and some of the unorganized players can't reach the larger guys. He's kind of solving for all of that.
And that's a large market in India, cold chain, and clearly it's unsolved. One of the other questions when I'm looking at some of the supply chain businesses to invest, how do you really create a moat in this business? It's not a winner takes all market. You will have multiple vendors from an enterprise perspective. So when you evaluate a company, how do you see that this is the one that will make it big, that will gain substantial market share?
I think across the supply chain, different companies have different models. But one thing which remains constant is operational excellence. In this segment, a customer comes to you because of reliability, right? He is most concerned that his product should be taken care of, there should be no loss, pilferage, and it should reach the customer on time. So, if you are able to build operational excellence through the tech, the systems processes, I think that is what creates the moat.
You know, as investors, we have this advantage of observing and learning from the evolution of many, many businesses. What are top 2 or 3 mistakes you have seen founders make as they scale from 1 to 10?
But the common thing that I've seen founders at the growth stage is they find it difficult to let go of control. Even if they get somebody, they find it difficult to delegate and to be able to help him grow. Second, that I've seen is sometimes after the founders taken some capital, they are in a rush to grow, they enter into peripheral product, right? So when your focus deviates or your focus dilutes from your core, what you are doing for expansion or to grow fast, I think that is where they lose the plot a little bit.
That's so true.
Yeah. And I think the last but not the least is cash is always the king. Most good entrepreneurs understand that really well. But I think when they're building their business, they have to build it prudently. They have to use cash wisely. That doesn't mean they have to cut corners, but you have to be able to use your resources wisely, and that good entrepreneurs understand. Sometimes, the guys who get a lot of money initially, they may let loose a little bit.
That's true. I think that's also one of the difference between a first-time founder and a second-time founder. And of course, you learn from experiences of others. A smart founder will do that. Okay, so now we'll move to our rapid fire round. We have this really interesting fun session we do at the end of our code. I'm going to ask you a little questions, and you should answer, whatever comes to your mind first. An investor whose work inspires you.
Warren Buffett, and if I have to pick in India, I think Rakesh Jhunjhunwala.
If you weren't an investor, you would be?
Don't laugh at this, but I would have been a cardiologist.
Wow. Is there a backstory behind this?
All my schooling life, I wanted to be a doctor.
Okay.
And what doctor? Yes, I wanted to be a heart specialist. Yeah, and what I'm doing is like way, way away from it, but I really love what I do. I think the best kick that you get being an investor is meeting new people, meeting entrepreneurs who are like so full of energy, so full of ideas and innovation. I think it's really very encouraging to meet these people.
That's true. A book you read recently that you would want everyone to read?
Definitely, I would say The Almanac of Naval Ravikant. It's a fantastic book because, he tells you not only about investing, about work, but he talks about life, he talks about happiness and how you can integrate the whole thing to be a better person.
If you were to go back in the past and change one thing, what would that be?
Honestly, I wouldn't change anything because no regret, only learning.
Everything in life is an experience and you learn from it. One company that you wish you were an early investor.
Apple, we all users of Apple at some point in time, but it's phenomenal in terms of how they created that brand and how they continue to innovate year after year. So very, very impressed with their journey.
And a fun fact that very few people know about you.
Fun fact, huh?
Yeah.
So I love traveling. And for me, travel is going and understanding the local people over there. So when I travel, one thing that I do re- religiously is I collect fridge magnets from every place that I go to. Like,
I'm wondering how many magnets you have right now.
I'll show you a picture one day.
Sure. Well, now we're at the close of our episode. Thank you so much, Ratna, for joining us today. It was really great to talk to you. Congratulations again on the launch of your fund. All the very best from all of us at Women.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. And I must say, the Women in Investing Network is such a strong platform for women to learn, to network, and just to have a great support system.
That's true.
Yeah,
Definitely.
and you guys are doing an amazing job. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you.